All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with the Mayor. And today we have special guests, the Chiefs. We have Chief Pete Palafis with the Fire Department, and we have Chief Troy Sterling with the Police Department.
Morning.
Yeah, welcome, gentlemen. Yeah, we're so glad to have you all here and joining us this morning as we go through what's happening in Lake Havasu City. As usual, we'll go over things that are going on in our community, and then we'll specifically talk about things in public safety. So the Chiefs will answer questions specific to that as well, and then we'll take any questions that you may have about any of the topics we cover or anything else that might be on your mind. So we'll go ahead and start first with road construction. It continues to go on in Lake Havasu City, which is a great investment that we've been making in our roads throughout the community. Makes them easier to get through, easier to drive on, a much smoother drive, of course. The area we're focused on right now is Acoma Boulevard, and Acoma is different every single day when you drive on it. So the reason that we're doing that is that actually the road construction that you're seeing is not even happening right now. It's all the underground work that we're doing. So we're in the process of replacing our water mains in that area from Acoma over by Terrible Herbst over to like in front of the golf course. They're even in front of city or this building here, and all the way up to Swanson. Right now, working on the water mains as well as the gas company is coming in, and they're doing some upgrades to their infrastructure as well. We made a process a few years back that with all of the road construction that we're doing, we don't want to do road improvements and then next month or next year or in 2 years, we have to go in and tear the road up to do something underground. So we're doing all of that work preventatively, and that's why we're having so much construction on Acoma right now. So in the next few weeks, you'll start seeing Acoma to become much smoother in the area that is now not so rough, but then we'll be coming back around May or June, and then we will repave all of Acoma from highway to highway. So the entire stretch of Acoma will be done. We have half of it in this budget year, and then half of it in our fiscal year that starts on July 1. That's why we won't start until June. So we can get the first half done in this year, and then the second half done at the very beginning of our new fiscal year. So improvements are coming to Acoma. We appreciate your patience, and as you're using it and navigating through that area, it's going to be a really great roadway and road network once it's all complete. We also, to complement that, the City Council at our last meeting adopted an ordinance for basically our road code. So this is for any contractor that would need to do any work in our right-of-way. So this is any infrastructure improvements, any breaks to infrastructure, anything along those lines, any connections when you have new construction, that they have to have compact testing so that when you're going over the roadway and they're patching it, that it's still a smooth transition. Right now, in many areas of our community, you could be driving along the road, you see where they may have connected to our infrastructure and you hear bump bump because they didn't have compact testing or they didn't have the right patches. That's now going to go away. We did that by ordinance, and there's new updates to the code to ensure that that doesn't happen, especially since we're doing so much investment in our road networks throughout the entire community. We want to make sure that those investments are here for a long time and that your tax dollars are being used wisely. Also, at our last council meeting, we approved a purchase of field lighting for our fields at Rotary Park and also at Sarah Park. So if you have any children, grandchildren, or you play in any of the adult leagues that occur at any of our fields, you'll know that our lighting technology is really outdated. Not only is it super bright, so there's lots of light pollution where that doesn't need to happen anymore, but there's lots of blind spots. So if you're out there playing ball and somebody's throwing a ball from the outfield, maybe back into the infield, you might not see the ball because there's black spots because of the lighting technology that's out there. The lighting technology is over 30 years old. It's the traditional field lighting that we all probably remember when we played youth sports, but this is going to be a really great improvement. So not only will we not have light pollution like we have currently, we also will have a much safer play for our leagues and our youth and all of the people that use those fields. And then we're also in the process of discussing how do we allow those lights to be turned on when families want to come down and just play ball on their own. So when you don't have like a field scheduled or it's not an organized event, but you still want to go down with your family and kick a ball around or something along those lines, how can you turn those lights on for you and your family to be able to enjoy that? So we're working on that component as well. But this is going to be a really great improvement for those that use these fields and then also those that have homes that overlook these fields and can see The lighting technology will be similar to what we have at Cypress Park, which when those lights are on, you don't really see the illumination of that lighting because the light technology is just a little bit different. We're also talking about annexing an area of land. You may know that the sheriff's office, the substation here in Lake Havasu City, moved a little bit further down on Showplace Avenue in front of the Toyota dealership. That's through Mojave County Sheriff Doug Schuster. But they have a substation that's still along Highway 95 next to the Tractor Supply store. That little spot of land happened to be in the county. So it wasn't in the city municipal boundaries. And so we're working to bring that into the boundaries as Mojave County is going to eventually auction or sell off that area. So whatever that then becomes would be in Lake Havasu City. What that would provide, it would provide continuity of ownership. So it's all in Lake Havasu City and it's understood that it is. And then whatever may go there will also be contributing with sales tax coming to Lake Havasu City to help offset our expenses when it comes to police and fire and roads and parks and the like. So you may see public notices throughout the newspapers or online. That's what that action is just to bring that into Lake Havasu City. And we're going through and following all the statutory requirements to bring that in and annex the old substation into Lake Havasu City municipal boundaries. And then we're also working on fields. We have a lack of fields in Lake Havasu City. We've had it for quite some time. We had some of these discussions last year around this time when we were preparing our budget, and we put money into our capital improvement plan budget in year 5, because it's a 5-year capital improvement plan. And we did that so that we had at least a placeholder of money to address the field needs that we have in anticipation of a completion of a parks master plan. So we are working through a parks master plan. We've talked about that before here at Coffee, but in probably March, we'll see that item come before the city council to approve the contractor that's going to assist us with this. But what the idea of a parks master plan is, it'll take a long range look at what our parks are doing and our population growth is going to do and where our park needs will be met. So often here in Lake Havasu City, we've had user groups have to advocate for use of park systems. So you might have Little League parents, or you might have soccer parents that come forward and say, hey, my youth is involved. There's not enough fields. We need more fields. Pickleball is another great example. Pickleball wasn't a thing, several years ago, and now it's one of the most popular things. So you have those user groups come forward. And by the time we're able to move and maneuver, by the time you have the public hearings, you can get the money set aside and you can build something. Usually those children age out of the system. So they're not even able to take advantage of it. So if we can flip that dialogue around and instead anticipate what the needs are going to be. So when we hit this benchmark, we might need another softball field. When we hit this benchmark, we might need another basketball field. When we hit this benchmark, we might need another community center. Whatever that looks like, we'll be able to put into a program that we can have a long-range plan. That doesn't mean that we can't have nuances and changes as the public engages, but at least we have some sort of a roadmap that the public knows where we're going, that we can plan from a financial perspective and ensure that we have the right resources set up to do those things. So this company will help us achieve that goal. And then with that placeholder money that we have already in the budget, we'll then be able to move that around in years 2 through 5 to actually do the work to expand the fields. What you most recently may have read is some challenges right now with the Little League that started this last week with having enough field space for not only the Little League players, but also some sub-teams that come off of youth sports and then the adult leagues that occur as well. We just don't have enough fields for all of the users at the times they need it. Our kiddos are in school until 3 o'clock, and so we have a really small window between after school and before it gets dark and too late for our kiddos to be out. And then we, of course, have our adult leagues that play throughout the afternoons and mornings. So it just gets a lot of use. So we are working on all of that. It's been a long discussion that we've been having, but we want to have a really thoughtful process as we go forward to address the field needs into the future. So not only are we addressing it for today, but we also want to address it for the future. So that is just a quick breakdown of some of the things that happened in our last council meeting. We do have a council meeting this coming Tuesday as well, and we encourage you to participate. It's right here in this room at the City Council Chambers at the courthouse at 5:30 p.m. Most of our discussion at this upcoming meeting is going to be dominated by public works projects that they are working on, but we encourage you to participate. If you can't come in person, obviously you can watch it on television, on Channel 4, or on our website. We stream live as well. So now we'll turn it over to the program with the chiefs, and we'll talk about some of the things that are impacting public safety and some of the hot topics that are going on within our community. Since we last met here, we had our planning session, and this is the planning session that is the first opportunity for the council to engage with our city team about the upcoming budget year. So we talk about, what accomplishments have been achieved, what goals do we want to achieve into the future, how do we plan for that, where do we stand? And as part of that conversation, Chief Sterling talked about some of the challenges that they have with staffing at the police department and what that looks like. And of course, Chief Bloffius has some very similar items. Staffing is very difficult across all sectors. But there's lots of nuances when it comes to public safety. So Chief Sterling, do you want to talk a little bit about what you updated the council and the community on about some of the staffing that you have at the police department?
Absolutely. So first of all, you lost me at pickleball, so I'm fixated on pickleball right now. And donuts. So anyway.
Two of his favorite things. Yes.
Sure. So anyway, good morning. Talking about the PD staffing challenges. So one of the things I wanted to bring up and bring to council's attention was really just talking about the history of Lake Havasu City, where we were and where we are sitting today. And when early on 2006 timeframe, we were budgeted for 96 police officers. All right. Today we sit at 84. And so because of the recession, we had to downsize essentially. We never got up to 96 police officers. We probably got to maybe 89. But recruitment efforts were way better back then. And so as we move forward today, we've never come close to filling all of our positions. And so before I was getting ready for the council planning session, I had my analyst look up the last 5 years, so 2020 to 2025, how many police officers have we hired and how many have termed out for whatever reason. And so we hired 54. That sounds great, right? We termed out 52. So in the last 5 years, we only gained a net of 2 police officers, right? And that's multiple reasons, right? Retirements are in there, going to other agencies, not meeting probationary standards, ultimately deciding that this career path is not for them. And so we do get a lot of that. And sometimes that's day one of the police academy. And so we talk about what it takes to become a police officer. Well, there's stages of that. And ultimately, the challenge for us has always been it takes about 10 to 12 months before through, application, background to hiring, all the way to becoming a solo police officer is almost 1 year. All right. So you can see it takes that long time. So we need that to continue to flow. Right. And so, I like to use this example of what we're seeing when we do our testing processes because it really sheds light on the thinking process that goes into someone maybe testing for us that thinks law enforcement's for them. So, right, 2 weeks before the planning session, we had a testing. We have continuous recruitment. And we had 10 people that we invited. So when we get a pool of people, we invite them for a test and we run them through it. So inviting 10, that's a decent number for us. 9 showed up. We were ecstatic that 9 actually showed up for the physical fitness testing. All right. Out of those 9, 7 passed the physical fitness test. And I will tell you that's embarrassing. All right. Because it's one of the easiest physical fitness tests that the state has now mandated for the minimum requirements. And so to me, that's still embarrassing. All right. So out of those 7, great. We're going to invite 7 to the interview process. And so our background investigators, our French Standards Unit Sergeant, they're out there meeting with these applicants that have just passed their physical fitness saying, okay, you're going to go to your interview and you need to wear business attire, right? You need to look professional for your interview, kind of giving them some helpful, tips. So next day, One shows up in jeans and a t-shirt, right? And so this talks about the mentality that people are putting, or lack of putting, into their effort interviewing for a position like this. This is something, getting a law enforcement is not something that you should have thought about yesterday. It's something that you have to give a lot of thought to. It's a sacrifice that you have to be prepared for. And people are just not. That mentality hasn't really been there. And so, continuing on with that, out of those 7, we passed 3 out of the interview, all right? And as of the council session, we were down to 1 through the background process. So that 1 looks promising. So 1 out of 10. So that's not a great percentage, right? So I'm telling you all this because it gives you that historical of what we've been experiencing with the recruitment challenges. We have been trying to get at least 3 or 4 into each academy. Our last academy just started the end of January. We only have 1 in this class, where we just graduated 4 in the last class. So we're having to look at other alternatives. Are there other, academies across the state that we need to keep that flow moving, right? Because our next academy here in Lake Havasu isn't until July. And so that's a huge gap for us. In the meantime, our recruitment efforts continue. We're getting out of state laterals that pool continues we get some applicants. Sometimes people are running from things, or sometimes they just want a better life for their family. And a lot of people, what our theme has been is people tend to have already family here, or they've visited here for many, many years and they love the community, and then they think it's time for them to come work here. And so that's what our typical theme is for our lateral officers. We love to bring on lateral officers because they already have the experience, and all we have to do for out-of-state laterals is have them challenge the state test. And so we can usually do that within a month's time frame of them coming on board. So we just, Monday, lateral officer from San Bernardino came over. I think she's going to be a great fit. And we have one that just retired actually out of a California agency that he says, I'm not done. I want to live in Lake Havasu, and I want to come work for you. And he comes with glowing reviews, and he's through the negotiation process with HR right now. So those are the positive aspects of the recruitment, that it continues to move. And so talking about the challenges, I always want to keep asking for more positions, right? But it's very difficult for me to justify that if I can't fill what I have. And so I do think we need more police officer positions, but we have to strategize how we do that. And so what's the alternative? Well, civilian patrol support type of positions. So, our police service assistant, we tried this out, really piggybacking off of what Chief Palafis has done with apprenticeship type of programs. Because in law enforcement, our gap is at 18 to 21-year-old, right? You have to graduate a police academy before you turn 21, okay? And so we've always had that gap, especially our cadets, former Explorer program. We usually have some good quality people in there that are interested in law enforcement, but then they have that gap after graduating high school and they need to figure out something. So we created this apprenticeship program, and it was geared towards our cadets. Well, we had one right off the bat that came on board. Her name's Cora. If you look at our city Facebook, she has a great video out there highlighting her position and what she's done. She's done phenomenal in that role. And so we really like that. Talking about supporting our officers and handling the low-level delayed type of calls, delayed thefts, shopliftings, those type of things where she can go take those reports, and she can follow up all the way through the point of identifying a suspect, and then it can get turned over to an officer to go make the arrest. And so talking about having that ability, that position to really help support patrol has been invaluable. And so we have our second PSA that came on board in January. And we're still recruiting for the third position that we have for the apprenticeship positions, right? So the apprenticeship geared towards the 18 to 21-year-olds before they become police officer eligible, all right? So the other position that we're looking at is called a police service technician. Very similar job duties, but really opening that up recruitment-wise. What I saw in the recruitment for the PSA positions is a variety of people in their career paths. Some are retired law enforcement that want to continue to work in that capacity, but don't want to be a sworn police officer. So I think we're going to have a great pool of candidates to really come on board and help support patrol. And so that's where all of our recruiting challenges, trying to figure out what can we do to help. And so I think these civilian positions are going to be a helpful answer for that.
Yeah, so you can see that it can be very complicated. So although we've had those positions budgeted, we've never had them filled. And so even if we went back and budgeted, because we all have a commitment to public safety. I mean, the council is very forward, leading city leadership is. We want to make sure we have a safe community, which we do. The chief does a great job with his team. But we wouldn't be able to fill them anyhow because of you have to be 21 years old to be a police officer. And so an innovative program to for those 3 years to gap that so we can keep that talent within our community. But now we'd have a pipeline of 3 officers kind of on a rotation that are always coming into the department that are already committed to what it is we're doing. So it's using those types of techniques to really be able to get our folks in here. And of course, the lateral program is amazing. Yeah, Chief Palafis, you have similar challenges, and you have a lot of retirements coming up as well that you've been focused on for several years. You want to talk about some of your challenges?
Sure.
It's the longest he's gone without speaking.
Thank you, Troy.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everybody. Pete Palafis, Fire Chief. You know what? Our number one asset is our people. And in public safety, I consider them occupational athletes. All right. And the reason why because they're paid to perform. Now, we have very similar challenges with the PD, but ours are a little bit different. And those challenges are, for the last 5 years that I've been here, going on 6 years, is that I've known this is coming. I have over really right now between 2026 and 2030, I have known about 14 individuals that are leaving our department. So I had to have a plan for that. I have an eligibility of 42% of my department, and that includes the individuals that I know that are going to be eligible to retire. How do I replace them? So what we have done is created a pipeline. That pipeline is through partnerships with other government agencies, the school district, the college, is to keep homegrown individuals here. Now, I have the fortunate part of getting them when they're 18 years of age. So I can get them out of high school. So what we have is 2 successful programs. We have our fire career technical education program, and we just launched our emergency medical career technical education programs. So we have 2 programs. To get someone up to a firefighter paramedic level is roughly between 3 and 4 years of education. That's a lot of people. It's still in education, even though they're in the public service for firefighter and EMT and paramedic. Those programs are very similar to a 2-year degree. I mean, that's how much education that they need to service us. So the thing is, we've been very active in recruiting, but also creating programs, because in the fire service and public safety, it's usually always generational. Like you knew someone, a family member, an uncle, a grandpa. There are some individuals that didn't even aware of a career in the fire service. So that's why we brought it to the high school. In the high school, there's the foundation of individuals that can go and look at different careers of what they want to do. And we've been doing that in the high school, at least our fire program, for well over 4 years. And we've had a great return on investment. And that's an investment from the city and the high school working together, giving these individuals an opportunity to look at the fire service as a career. Now, some of them, it might be just like Troy said, this is not for everybody, but at least they can experience and get a taste of it to see if this is something they will want to pursue. Now, our pipeline starts really sophomore year, junior year, senior year for individuals that are looking for a career in the fire service. Now, the thing is, I have enough vacancies for individuals, and we've hired individuals from our CT program. We had 3 individuals that came into our CT that are working full-time for us right now. We did launch our apprenticeship program in January. I have 2 individuals that are in the fire academy right now. They're already EMT certified, and they are going to work side by side with our full-time individuals getting experience. And that pipeline, I want them to finish the entire apprenticeship program, but if they get the necessary certification, they can actually switch over to full-time, going through another process of filling out an application and interviewing to see why they're fit for us. And the most important thing is the best marketing recruitment individuals for me are my employees and the community. If you know someone that wants to or has a desire to serve, send them my way. Send them Troy's way. That's the most important thing. We live in a beautiful community. right? And I want to keep individuals, our youth here to continue to serve us. And that's the most important thing, is giving them the opportunity, but investing in them. The city is investing quite a bit of money in our individuals. I just finished sending just over 10 people to paramedic school. Paramedic school is $8,500 just for the class. So we are putting a lot of investment. I have individuals, we do continuous recruitment too. There are a period of times where, when I have Henderson or Las Vegas or Clark County testing, I see a little bit lower applicant pool, but I'm not seeing that anymore. The thing is, our reputation with our leadership in our city is people want to come here. We just hired 2 individuals out of the Valley that one had over 17 years of experience on Phoenix. The other one had roughly 5 to 6 years in Buckeye. I want individuals that want to work and serve our community to be here in a progressive department. I'm losing a lot of that leadership where I need to get individuals like laterals. I want individuals to come here to bring that experience to help us make it to the next step. Now, this is going to be a constant rotation because in 20 years, when I'm gone, it will be a little bit earlier, but they're going to go through the same problem because it is a cyclical problem that we're going to have. But the thing is, in our department, we have set a career path for our individuals. I do appreciate when people come in here, they actually go through the entire system internally. I promote internal individuals to be leaders. But I always say promotions is not a right, it's a privilege. You're not just going to get it just because you've been here long enough. You're going to earn it, and you're going to make sure that you earn it. So the thing is, we have definitely challenges, but when we launched the ambulance transport program, we brought on 11 individuals to help launch that program. And that was basically all funded by a grant. For 3 years, the city got, I'll say, we still had to invest a little bit of money into it, but we actually got somewhat of free labor, but we also trained them to be where the level that we want. I want all firefighter paramedics. The majority of the calls that your service for is EMS, right? And not saying that that's good or bad, but I mean, our fires is less than 2% of our calls a year. So that's real good. So we do a good job on that. Can we do better? Absolutely, we can always do better. The thing is, I always worry that I am a sole provider here for fire. I mean, I got help with Desert Hills and stuff, but we have no other resources. We have to take care of each other. And with our ambulance transport program, we work side by side with River Medical, but now we know that the city's operating 2 ALS ambulances 24/7. So there is no delay. There will always be ambulances here in our town. And it kind of makes sense because 65% of the calls are for individuals that need emergency medical care. So kind of going off topic, but the thing is, the fire department, we've been progressive and thinking ahead, because you always have to think ahead. There's always going to be a challenge. I've always told my kids when I go to work, I said, there will always be work. Now, am I able to always get it done? No, but I can do it step by step as long as you have a plan. And the thing is, in 2003, we did our operational study. That is my plan. The city invested in it. I invested in it. That's our plan for the next 5 to 10 years. Now, am I going to be able to accomplish every single one? No, but I'm going to hit the priorities that need to be accomplished. And that's just making sure that we have adequate staffing to provide the best quality service to our residents. And that's all of you. That's my commitment. My commitment is always for the community. It's not for me. It's for my community, and make sure that our firefighters and paramedics are safe when they serve you.
So that 2023 plan that the chief talked about is available on our website. You can take a look at it and look at the different measures and what's being accomplished. It is a very in-depth overall plan for fire and EMS services that talks about locations of stations, future growth, future needs that the department will have. It's a really comprehensive document. So again, that's on our website if you want to take a look at it. We share this with you all this morning, not because we're in crisis mode, but because we're proactive. and the chiefs have put together some really amazing and dynamic plans to ensure that our staffing levels are going to be met and we can meet the needs of our community. They work in partnership with the city manager and our HR department to ensure that we have these professionals available to our citizens when somebody calls 911, depending on what service you are, that they are there to provide it. It's a very proactive approach that both of these chiefs have taken to ensure that we can continue to serve all of our residents. So congratulations to both of you for being forward thinking and progressive in that respect to make sure our community remains safe. We appreciate that. We'll change the topic just a little bit. We'll talk about e-bikes. We've talked about e-bikes a lot, and depending on where you fall on the subject, you have very strong opinions on it, and we know that. And so we have, by just kind of way of history, e-bikes weren't always a thing. Before it was scooters and skateboards and bicycles, and then e-scooters, and now e-bikes. And there's e-bikes, which are traditional e-bikes, and then there's e-motorcycles, which people try to disguise as e-bikes. And so there's lots of components to this. And so we started getting feedback from citizens, complaints, if you will, from citizens about this over the last 3 or 4 years. And then it just steadily increased on those complaints. So about a year and 2 months ago, December or so of 23, we started talking about it at the city council level, and we adopted an ordinance or updated an ordinance in our city code about e-bikes, and we created certain zones down in the channel area, and then also the island pedestrian path that you can use these e-bikes, but you have to be under human power, so you have to be pedaling them in those areas. There was lots of discussions about speed limits and what we should do. We did not codify speed limits because at that time the technology for radar and such wasn't there. That's now since changed, and so this is an evolving conversation. But Chief Sterling, do you want to talk about what your department's been doing to educate and enforce and make sure that everyone can peacefully enjoy our open spaces out here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to give kudos to Captain Williams in the back. If you hadn't watched last Tuesday's council meeting, he did a great job of really outlining the things that we have done. When we had all these conversations with council and looking at the ordinance, one of the conversations really stemmed around, let's try the education. Let's have the focus on education, as a priority to really see if that can change some of the behavior, and so that's what our focus ended up starting out as, right? And so we had between our traffic unit and our community services unit, they went to every school last year from third grade to 12th grade and gave a 30-minute overview of the rules of the road. And so they gave that education piece. And so kicking off this, we're now going the second round, right? In addition, creating pamphlets to educate the public, because there are different classes of e-bikes. There's other devices out there. Updating the ordinance was really to get us into modern times of what's out there now. So the ordinance now covers every aspect of that. And so that helped with those pieces. But ultimately, what the challenges that we face is that our community is different, right? We don't have a lot of areas for, bicyclists to ride, right? Some areas have sidewalks, some don't, and some you're just right in traffic lanes. And so those are the unique aspects that are challenging for us as a community. And so the zones that the mayor was referencing, yeah, those were the hot areas that we tended to get more complaints about, especially the Bridgewater Channel area, because a lot of pedestrian foot traffic down there. And so we have groups of individuals that just don't care. And so that's where we started to give a lot more presence. And one of the things that the police service assistant position that I talked about, that was one of their priorities, and our citizens on patrol, our volunteers, we incorporated that into the ordinance to give them some authority to be able to help our patrol officers be in those areas for that presence factor. And if there was an ability to give citations, we would do that. Our focus, again, was not on the enforcement piece. It was the education. And so, we started the enforcement. We're like, it's time. We've given everybody pretty much the leeway we can give them. The unfortunate part is it's not the most popular decision, or our officers really don't enjoy giving kids tickets, right? And so you can see those challenges and trying to get that across. Do some deserve it? Yes, they do. Do some just need, maybe that, contact with the police officer gets them in line, So sometimes you just don't know. Everybody's different. But so yes, the enforcement has begun. And of course we get the hate from that too, right? And so, we're in that unique position that we're trying to do what we think is right and navigating through this as a community, because every community is facing these same challenges. And so you're starting to see cities coming up with their specific ordinances that they feel are appropriate for their cities. And so we have the opportunity to be able to look and see what they put into place and then reach out to them because we have contacts in all of these agencies and say, what did you find? Lessons learned, and maybe get some helpful hints as we progress to our next phase of having the conversation of what should we do and changing our ordinances to fit our community. And so there's no one size fits all is the point. And so anyway, yeah, if you start seeing more or hearing more about the enforcement aspect, yeah, it's begun. So, but in addition, we didn't stop on the education. We're going to still continue to try to do that. Okay.
Yeah, so the e-bikes, we'll continue to have the conversations, and as it evolves, we'll be able to make sure that we have local solutions for the problems that are occurring here in Lake Havasu. And really, at the end of the day, if everyone that is enjoying all of our outdoor recreation areas is just respectful to each other, there's people that are jogging, there's people that are walking, there's people that are riding bicycles under human power, and there are people that are doing e-bikes, and just recognize what that means. So e-bikes are very, very quiet, and they come up on you very, very fast, and so that can startle a pedestrian. Sometimes you might have your earbuds in, and so you might not be able to hear anything, and you're on top of somebody all of a sudden. So if we can just be respectful, then we'll continue to have discussions not only on enforcement and good public practice when it comes to e-bikes, but also maybe we need to have more spaces for bicycles and bicycle lanes. And so it's a multifaceted conversation that we continue to have, and we'll continue to have that, and then we'll make local solutions again for local challenges that we might have in this area. And as the chief said, the officers are in the schools this week and last week doing e-bike safety again. And it's our school resource officers that are doing this. So these are officers that have relationships with our youth and have developed that over the years. And this is the second time on this topic. They had it last school year and now this school year. And then we'll continue to do that as well, working with bike shops and the users and the public. And we'll just continue to have that conversation. So thank you, Chief, for that update. If I may just piggyback for the last thing. So different educational, I brought some pamphlets that we put together just to identify the rules of the road. There's a video that's going to be hopefully posted soon on the educational aspect, hoping to push that out of the schools are helping us, right, to get that out to the parents as well, right? It should start at home, hopefully, right? The parents should be teaching their kids how to, ride appropriately. It's not just the youth, but that tends to be what we focus on, right? Because there are some bad apples that are adults too, right? I have to admit that. But yeah, I think it's just one of those unique challenges that we're just trying to navigate through appropriately. And when this enforcement piece really started, I've noticed, hopefully you start noticing if you pay attention to some of our youth, especially, I've seen a bunch that are starting to wear their helmets now. They're actually really they know that they need to get to the right side of the road. They're doing all these things. So I'm seeing the change. So let's hope that continues in a positive direction. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Chief. Chief Palafis, last time we were all together doing coffee with the mayor and chiefs, you were able to unveil Fire Station 7 designs. You want to give us an update on what's happening there?
Sure. Station 7 is, the location of it is at Sloop and McCulloch, up by, I'll say the foothills area, but we have identified in our study, and it was identified, prior to me too, when they purchased that, inquired that land for that additional station for that area. Right now I'm working with Public Works. Public Works is the lead on the project itself, but I participate as, I'll say, the customer, making sure that we are getting what we need, for that station to serve our community. At this moment right now, we're making progress. I don't have a date, but hopefully sometime maybe in 2026, we will be breaking ground. We are working with our architect and our contractor to come up with our final documentation for construction permits. So hopefully in the next, we'll say, couple months that we'll be making closer progress. That station is for the entire city. The main service area it's going to protect is in the foothills area and in that quadrant. When what it's going to do is actually take some relief off of Station 4, Station 1, and Station 3. The most important thing is the response time in that area. It's going to improve drastically, especially when I have other rigs out. There could be times that getting up into the foothills is over 10 minutes. And that's for, time of dispatch all the way to arrival, especially if I have other calls. And I know individuals realize that we do have multiple calls that go on. There's people, we have a population, we'll say over the 60,000, but when we, in our winter visitors, we're approaching that 90,000 where, individuals call at the same time for service. So we only have so much resources, and that's why it's essential that we have that station there, get it built. There will be an engine housed out of that. We are going to adjust some of our resources. Our TRT team is going to be housed out of there too. And then we'll see with our expansion on our deployment, but it's going to be a great addition to this city to help us serve and have that additional resources for us.
Yeah, so we've been planning for Station 7 for such a long time. We're really excited to be able to actually get this started, break ground, and then actually open and serving our citizens. Just from a geographical standpoint, Station 4 is up on Palo Verde and like Amberwood. Station 3 is on Buena Vista and Oro Grande. And then Station 1 is just right out here on Acoma. And so think of those locations. They're taking care of all of those residences and businesses in that area. So if Station 1's on a call right now, Station 3 or 4 or even 5 sometimes has to jump up into this area. 5 is down on Lake Havasu Avenue next to Sundance Country Store. But so you can see if we're on a call and we have to move about, those are some large distances by mileage and or traffic counts that we have within our community. But again, your department does a great job mobilizing your resources to take care of all of the needs. So,
yes, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, very good. All right, let's talk a little bit about graffiti. We had a big bout of graffiti this fall, and Chief Sterling and his team did an amazing job. So maybe you can even kind of take us through what you did to get the guy that was doing this.
Yeah, the big one is the one that we put the article in the paper, and you've seen some follow up from the newspaper on the case itself. But we were having what appeared to be one individual that was doing a lot of what we call tagging, either via stickers or their moniker. There were a couple different initials that they were utilizing. And so we put it out to the public. And this is the key point is, working together. And so we got an anonymous tip that helped get us pointed in the right direction. And what happened with that tip is utilizing social media platforms, we were able to get some resources to identify a piece of information that came down to old fashioned police work. And that was, it was an animal. All right. And so these officers, our street crimes unit, they take most of our graffiti cases and run with them and dig until they can hopefully find the culprit. But they went to every vet in town until they found the owner of that dog. All right. And they're able to identify who the owner was. And then from there, it became, monitoring, right? Surveillance, see if we could catch that individual in the act. And ultimately, it got to a point of it's time to make the arrest. And so, they put together a great case. They had met with prosecutors, really had all their ducks in a row, and they captured the guy after he left his apartment one evening and took him into custody, wrote the search warrant into the residence, and found paraphernalia associated with all the graffiti that we had been seeing. And so it was a great case that was put together, and they were able to charge multiple counts of graffiti. So we'll see as it progresses through the justice system, what the penalties are. Our city ordinances is very tough on those that are found responsible for graffiti. So it's now in the court's hands, and we'll see where that goes. But that's the one that made the headlines. I will say their graffiti is not constant, but we seem to run it. It runs in spurts. And I had one of my patrol officers, Jacob Rodriguez, did a fantastic job in the last month of tracking down 2 individuals responsible for doing some of tagging in some of the washes on the cement surfaces and, utilizing social media. Social media is a huge platform, right? Most people that are doing this want to advertise their work, All right. And so, it makes sense, right? You don't want to hide that beauty, right? And so yeah, so they ended up, he ran with this case and ended up tracking and finding the nicknames that belonged to individuals. And these ended up being, teenagers versus the big case I talked about was a 39-year-old. So it runs the gamut of different ages. And so not always blaming it on our youth. Okay. Ultimately Jacob was able to run with that case, identified, I think he ended up actually getting 3 and, got evidence with fingerprints, the whole works, and was able to charge them. So, that's the one that didn't hit the headlines, but again, a lot of legwork goes into those investigations, and always encourage the public. If you know of something, you see something, you have any tips, maybe new graffiti, report those things to us, because we can't, our officers come across it on the field, but sometimes maybe it's something they missed. And so we have a couple individuals that are really proactive on letting us know about these things. So we take it in, and we have a process to make sure that we do our part to get that cleaned up as quick as possible as well. We don't want it lingering around. So that's our philosophy.
Yeah, so the reason that we have such tough ordinance on graffiti is because we don't want graffiti in Lake Havasu City. That's not something that our citizens are interested in. It's not something that we're interested in. And so, again, our ordinance is really tough. And as the chief said, if you see something, make sure that you notify us. You can do it through the Havasu Now app, which is an app you can download on your phone. You can email it to us through the city website, or you could send it over to the police department. But we catalog each one of those, and we keep an eye on it, and we look for patterns. And as the chief said, his department does good old-fashioned policing, and they go investigate and see what they can find. And then when it comes to remediating the graffiti, we work with property owners. We sometimes will have to work with ADOT because it's in their right-of-way, some of the culverts and those areas. And then, of course, with our city teams to try and get that graffiti out as quick as possible. But it is important that we talk with facts. And as a community, we need to remember that we're all in this together. Like, Havasu City is such a special place because of all of us collectively, all of the citizens together. And so we're really quick to say, we need to do something for the youth to do. All that graffiti we saw in the winter was not from the youth. It was from a 39-year-old that was doing it. So, or we need to make it a stronger ordinance and charge more money in the penalties. We already have a very strong ordinance. So again, working together, knowing that we're all in this together, it makes for a better community. That's what has made Lake Havasu City so special for all these years, and will continue to in the future. But thank you, Chief, for your unit department for taking that so seriously and making sure we don't have the graffiti like that. So, Chief Bluffs, you want to talk a little bit about your 25 stats for the department?
Yeah, just want to give some highlights for our annual report. Will be coming out sometime in March. And this annual report talks about our achievement, our call volume. So we just had over 10,000 calls for service. And really, when I kind of hit that a little bit in my initial opening when I was talking about our programs, but less than 2% is actual fires. All right. The majority of our calls are EMS, emergency medical. So that's why you see an engine and an ambulance respond to certain calls. Now, those calls require resources. So like if someone's having a cardiac arrest, all right, that you're going to have multiple units there because we want to give the best chance of survival for that individual. And it takes at least about 5 people to run a full code. This is a person that's unconscious, not breathing, no pulse. That's why we encourage bystander CPR. Even if you just do hands only, the most important thing is what? Activate the 911 system. Make sure you get us on our way. Some of our other calls that are in the top categories is our service calls. That roughly is about 15%. And the majority of those are assist invalid. These are the individuals that fall, which is fine. We are here. If you do fall, call us. All right. We want to make sure that you're okay. That's why we have the residential Knox box program. And has everybody heard of that program? It's basically gives us access that there's a key box outside your residence that basically we have a key to grab your key to open up your door instead of using the golden key, which costs a lot of damage, which is an axe through your door. Okay. We don't want to do that. So that's why we take proactive measures to, hey, have the key. And that program is ran by our CERT program. They do an excellent job with it. We have over an estimated 600 boxes out there. And that's a big program to manage, but it's a smart program to have. A lot of older adults don't want to go live in assisted living. They want to live at home. And the thing is, just realize that there are sometimes trip hazards or, loss of balance and stuff that sometimes people do fall. And that's why it's so important to have some type of device or a buddy system to basically, if I haven't heard from my neighbor in a while, why don't I just go check and do a well-being check? We need to take care of each other. And that's what's the basically premise behind that is. Now, we do run some hazardous waste or hazardous material calls. The one that's been kicking up is the landfill has been burning. All right. We just had a fire last week, and it was not last week, a couple days ago. And the thing is, it's because of improper disposal of material. All right. And when I see it, glowing in from my house on the south side, and I see the big plume, I'm like, oh, there's another lithium ion battery that someone threw away. Please don't hide it. Properly dispose of your stuff. Now, the thing is, out there, the risk is basically nothing because what is it? It's all garbage, right? But the thing is, it's the toxicities in the air. We don't want that. So we need to prevent that. So we work closely with Republic Service. We'll send a rig out there, and I don't want to waste too much water on it. And what they do is just bury it. So they just smother the fire out. So that's the thing is please be conscious of the things. That's why we have the hazardous waste days to make sure that you properly dispose. And we are aggressively working. We have 2, and our next one's going to be in April, and we're still working on our date. But those are the times to get rid of your stuff. And I love, and I'm sure a lot of people, and you could be guilty of this, that you try to hide it in your garbage, like they're not going to find it. So, they'll find it. Yeah. Well, and that's even with the garbage trucks too. When they compress that and it crushes the battery, then that's those vehicles are well over in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, just be cautious about it. The thing is, I would love to see basically our stats go down. All right, through fire prevention. And Mayor, you don't mind if I kind of make an announcement, is we did a press release. Our fire marshal, Nathan Adler, is retiring from the fire department on February 24th. He had over 26 years of service. 2 of those were part-time, but 24 of those were full-time with him. He's going to be greatly missed. The phrase that Nathan, when he got into the Bureau, is fire prevention equals firefighter safety, and which is so true. But those are the behind the scenes that making sure that we're enforcing our codes, making sure that when you go into a public building that it's safe. And that's the whole premise behind our fire prevention and making sure that construction is built correctly for us to occupy it. So he will be greatly missed. Right now, we announced John Boone is our fire prevention officer. He's going to take on the acting role. And then we're going to do a nationwide search for an individual to hopefully, replace that position. But Nathan, he does watch these. So I really appreciate everything he has done for the fire department, done for the community. He's been a great asset to our organization running our fire prevention bureau. And it's a tough job. It is. But he did an excellent job for the time that he was in there. He'll be greatly missed. And then we'll just have to move on. So, appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for the stats. So Chief, if you had to get rid of your batteries, only hazardous household waste days, or what is there?
It's a combination. Staples does take it. We have a list of, businesses to help, but it's limited. Most of the time, like this last hazardous waste, we accepted lithium-ion batteries. Please bring them to that. And in our April one, once we get a date for it, please bring them there too.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, thank you. Do you want to talk a little bit about your hydrant program as well?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Then we're going to go.
Please keep talking.
I thought that e-bike thing was a little short. I was waiting for about at least 45
I know there are going to be
minutes.
questions, so
That's okay. Yeah, so our fire hydrant program. So in combination with Public Works and the fire department, we test our hydrants annually. So, and I know sometimes that we try to do the best as possible, not, spraying cars and not ruining landscaping. And our guys do a pretty good job, but I'll tell you the importance of why we need to do it is to make sure that we have working fire hydrants. That is the infrastructure for us to fight fire. I need water, and I need to make sure that it's appropriate and the flow is correct. Now, there are some times that when we do open up the hydrant, it just happens that there will be times that we break a main because of it. All right. And it's not that they're doing it improperly. It's just sometimes we're working on our infrastructure and making sure that it is working. So we have completed it. It took us well over a year to do. We have roughly over 3,000 fire hydrants that have to be tested every year. So the thing is making sure that we have that adequate flow. We're doing a great job with it. And we're going to continue that program to make sure that our infrastructure is reliable, not only for us, but also for our fire protection.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. Chief Sterling, you want to talk about the stats of the police department for the last year?
Yeah, sure. So I brought a couple interesting ones for you. Obviously, calls for service. I talked about calls for service. We were over 50,000 this last year. It's one of the higher years. But calls for service is calls for service from the public, but also self-initiated activity by our officers. So traffic stops and stuff are included in that total number. All right. Over 23,000 were 911 related calls. Traffic stops, our officers really hustled this year, over 11,000 traffic stops. What's interesting though is, we tend to have the philosophy, not just, giving out tickets, right? A lot of it is the idea behind traffic enforcement is to hopefully change driving behavior, right? And so having that philosophy, warnings are sometimes very appropriate in those situations. And so, traffic citations, they gave out over 3,500. So you can see it's less than 50%, but they're out there hustling and still doing traffic stops. What's cool about traffic stops is that sometimes leads to other things, all right? And that's what we really focus on is, drugs in plain view, drug paraphernalia leads into whatever, right? And then warrant arrests, all of those things associated with traffic stops. And so that's where a lot of that activity ends up building from. Arrests, we had over 2,700. DUI arrests, this number doesn't seem to ever go down. We had over 306 DUI arrests last year. We do specific details throughout the year. We get money, grant money from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety every year that we devote details to, specifically on holiday weekends. But DUI enforcement is constant. All right. And so as responsible drivers, let's do our part and make sure we get a designated driver, right? An interesting one this year was parking citations. So typically we hover right around the 200 mark on parking citations. I've talked to in other forums about our Citizens on Patrol program, our volunteers, and of course our police service assistant. That's where doing parking citations really helps us because our officers don't spend a lot of time on that, but we need it. All right. The common ones are handicap parking violations, right? But there's a plethora of ordinances that we need that help with. And so this past year, they did over 600 parking citations. So, conversation wise is some of these things are brand new. People are like, well, I never knew that I couldn't do that or I couldn't park that way. And so we want to make sure we're balancing that out appropriately by ensuring that we're giving out warnings in specific areas that we're seeing those problem areas. And that way we give people at least some advance notice. Hey, this is what the ordinance is and here's how you're supposed to be doing that. So anyway, that was brought that to our attention. And I think that's the highlight of our stats.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, so very busy departments doing lots of things, servicing all of our residents and visitors that come. Great job, gentlemen, for the work that you do. We appreciate that. We are now getting to the part of the program where we're going to take your questions about anything we covered or anything else that might be on your mind. But before we do that, this is the first Friday of the month. So First Friday will be happening this evening down at Main Street Commons. We encourage you to go and enjoy that great event in the downtown. And then there's lots of activities going on every weekend. One that the city is doing is the GAIN event, which is tomorrow, February 7th. Is that at Rotary? At Rotary Park, which is a great family-friendly event to come take a look at all of the cool things that your department should actually use. So the great things from Public Works, police, fire, again, that's at Rotary Park tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Can I touch on that?
Yeah, please.
So interesting, the GAIN event, GAIN stands for Getting Arizona Involved in Neighborhoods. And so most of you hopefully know that we have a neighborhood watch program. And we have what's called a Havasu Night Out event every year, but that was limited to neighborhood watch, signed up groups, right? Well, you've probably heard of National Night Out across the country. They do a National Night Out theme. Well, what was interesting is we never got that type of thing off the ground because that's a really big event. What was really cool is the Anderson Auto Group reached out to us and said, we'd really like to do this public safety type of event. And it really is similar to what a national night out event is. And so in coordination, you know, they took the bull by the horns and said, absolutely want to participate in that. And not just, you know, our city, but the county sheriff, outside agencies to really showcase, you know, what's available, but really to bring neighborhoods together. Our hope too is that we'll sign up more groups for our neighborhood watch program, right? Because if you've never heard me say this before, the public are the police are the public. This is our community. We work together. And so building those bonds by neighborhood watch groups, you look out for each other, right? The concept behind all of that. And so this is going to be a really cool event. We had to postpone it once. This is the new date. The weather looks great for this one, so we won't have to look at canceling it. So really encourage all of you to, spend a little time, come down between 9 and 1 tomorrow.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, thank you. All right, before we take questions, I do want to introduce a few of my colleagues that have joined us today. We have Vice Mayor David Diaz joining us. Thank you, Vice Mayor. We have Councilmember Jenny Koch is here. Thank you, Councilmember Koch. And Councilmember Cameron Moses is here as well. Thank you, Councilmember Moses. All right, so Vice Mayor Diaz will take a microphone around and take any questions you might have. Let's see if we can get this one working. Okay, perfect. All right, yeah, thank you.
We'll start right here. I just have a quick question because I am elderly, but I also wanted to ask both the gentlemen. I have a watch that if I fall, supposed to notify. It has come on a time or two, and it's supposed to go directly to your departments to alert you that I'm down. Any input?
It should be dialing 911 potentially. It's probably doing that on its own. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That does work?
If it's saying it's call 911, it's gonna get through. Yep.
Okay, so summer is coming, and how do you recommend we handle the situation where animals are in a closed-up car? I just want to break a window, but
You call us.
Yeah.
You call us. We have on-duty animal control. If our animal control is not available, our police officers will respond. And if they deem that situation it's appropriate, they'll break a window. They'll break a window and get to that animal. Yeah.
Good morning. A question regarding Highway 95 and the public use path, McCulloch Boulevard South, heading on up into the city. We've observed traveling along that route that the amount of brush, weeds, etc., is really looking pretty tacky these days. Is that the state's responsibility, or who takes care of that, and can anything be done? It doesn't present a very appealing entrance into the city.
Mm-hmm. Is it obstructing the path with the brush coming in?
We don't actually use the path.
Okay, gotcha. It's
We're
just the
driving,
okay.
But it's really getting rather tall along the sides, and it looks like it hasn't had anything done with it for quite some time. You may want to just take a look when you drive out that way.
Sure. Yeah, no, thank you for that. That's what we're doing is planting seeds. We'll take a look at it and see, and then we can work with either our agencies or ADOT, depending on what that might be. Yeah, thank you for that.
Hi, good morning. Is there an update on a second access to the foothills by any chance?
Yeah, so the Foothills was approved in 2002, and it was approved for 697 home sites with the current access on Cherry Tree. There is one emergency access off of
Sierra Vista.
Sierra Vista that's not paved for if there was an emergency. As far as a second access, the council has said that no additional housing could be approved without another access. My position on that is that can't ruin other neighborhoods. We can't ruin other neighborhoods by putting a second access there, so we have to find out what the solution is going to be, if that's even going to be a consideration. The land between the additional land up in the foothills areas is owned by the state trust land, Arizona State Trust Lands. So they'll have to go through that public process to go to an auction to purchase it, whoever that applicant may be and whoever the winning bidder may be. But again, we can't have growth impacting existing neighborhoods. We will have growth, so how do we manage it? Like we can have those conversations, but it can't ruin additional neighborhoods. Mm-hmm.
Mayor, I have a question for you. Maybe you can give me some information on this. I hear that the 95, the center, everybody's complaining about. Have you heard anything new, what they're going to do to improve it? I've seen people hit it already. I know there was a reason why they did it, but it seems like it's causing a little bit more problems than it should be. So maybe you might have some information that we can, you can tell us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Dave. I'm surprised we made it this far into the coffee without you talking about medians yet. So, so we all woke up one morning and we saw construction happening on Highway 95 in the median area. And we're like, what's happening? That doesn't look right. That looks like it's going to be really crowded. And so folks started reaching out to my office and to others in the city. We started reaching out to ADOT saying what's happening here. And they assured us that it was what was scoped. And then the medians were done and the lanes were tight and people were running into them and it became a safety hazard. And so through the advocacy of our citizens. So we were working really hard as your elected leaders across all spectrums. All of us were working really hard and we just were being dismissed or not heard of what the concerns are. But then our citizens started calling ADOT and things changed and it was amazing. And so they did announce, I think the newspaper might have ran a story last week or the week before, that they are going to be doing some things with it, with the entrance or the start of it. And also shaving back some of it. I don't know what that looks like. We didn't have the scoping documents or anything prior to the medians, so we also don't have this, but they are working on a few different things. The way that was funded was through federal highway funds, and so there's some hoops that the ADOT has to jump through. But, that's one area that the city has taken a lot of heat on, the medians on Highway 95, a lot. And it's a state highway 95. The state runs it. It's ADOT. So we didn't have any ability to be a part of that. The one small piece that we did have was the Lake Havasu Metropolitan Planning Organization, which I do sit on that board. In 2019, approved a mechanism to allow for funding to be applied in funding year 25. And so that's how the funding mechanism happened, but we didn't scope it, we didn't bid it, we didn't, to be honest, I thought it was going to be K-Rail, which is, the cement block that would just go right in the center of that. So they are working on it, and this spring we will see changes to that median area on 95.
Chief, for the fire department, is there any other day that we can bring in batteries and old TVs besides just the certain days that you suggest?
So there are resources on our website that there are certain, like Republic Service will take electrical stuff at certain day up on College. I can work with you, get you a number and stuff that you could reach out to. The primary one is the hazardous waste. And I know sometimes it is an inconvenience to do that, but for right now, those are the days that we, at least for the city, but there's other agencies too that we could work with. And maybe I'll get some more further resources for you through Republic Services.
Yeah, and if I may just add to that, the hazard household waste days are great days for people to get rid of their hazardous waste. But let's just talk about the economics of it for a second. So Lake Havasu City has a contract with Republic Services to do our trash services within our community and also manage our landfill. We own that landfill. They manage it for us, and that is under contract. We, as ratepayers, all pay through our water bill. So our trash is on our water bill. But these hazardous household days cost money. And it costs a lot of money to get rid of this hazardous waste that our residents have within their homes. And so when we have those days, we're paying a large sum of money, us collectively as the ratepayers, to get rid of that waste. And so it's just important to keep that in mind when, I don't have lots of hazardous waste at my house, like I don't have any, but I eventually will get rid of a TV and I'll need to do something, and I'll eventually get rid of batteries that I have. And then there's others that have a whole lot of hazardous waste. And so just kind of keep that in mind, the economics behind all of that, it's not a free service. It's a service that we're all collectively paying, and we're doing it because it's necessary to keep our community safe. But it's just good to have the wider perspective of what those hazardous household waste days do. Yes.
I'm Tim Murray. First of all, let me start off by complimenting these two gentlemen up here, the chief of the fire department and the chief of the police department, for doing what they're doing with the resources they have. I was a firefighter for a number of years. I was a police commissioner for a number of years in Illinois. So I know what you're going through, but I think you do a great job with the resources you have and the things you're trying to deal with to protect this community. So again, you both deserve an awful lot of credit for what you do. My question is this, though. Fire station number 7 is a public safety issue. Why is it taking so long to put this station in operation? I've been here for 7 years now. I heard it the year that I moved in, and I don't understand why a public safety issue that you've identified is taking far too long to construct and put in operation. I just don't think it's right.
I appreciate your comments. So everything, again, costs money, and the money that we have is your money through tax dollars. And so we've been able to program that through. When Chief Palafis did the 2023 fire study, it further confirmed the need based on data. Chief Palafis is data-driven. So the day I met him, everything is data-driven. We don't do it on emotion or feelings. We do it on data. The data supported the location of it. We were then able to support it financially, and we're moving as quick as we can. So we're really excited that we're going to be able to get this off the ground.
Perfect, Mayor.
Yeah, excellent.
Chief Sterling, regarding the e-bike thing, would it be helpful to think about letting parents know that if their youth is cited by an officer for an e-bike violation, that they too will join the kid in traffic school?
Your question is, would it be helpful? Probably. Yeah. No, it's part of that navigating through what we want to look at as a community. It could be an option for us to consider that there is mandatory things that go with it. Just something that we're going to have to look at and what's the best fit. The juveniles that currently do get cited, their parents are notified. So at least that part. But the parents aren't found responsible. I guess which way you look at it, right? I'm sure the youth isn't going to pay that bill, but yeah, it's a great option. Thank you.
Hi, I have just 2 questions. I'm wondering if we could get an update on the bridge. Mm-hmm. And then I'm wondering about if there's much of an issue in town here with squatters and what the policy is regarding squatters.
Yeah, so we'll start with the bridge, and then I can take the second question. So the bridge is moving rapidly, and it's surprising. We get this this question quite often because you don't see all of the work that's happening. But just at our planning session a couple of weeks ago, we're at 60% construction documents and planning documents currently. We've already submitted to the Coast Guard, which is the approving agency for the second bridge. They have a whole year. And so we're expecting to hear back from them mid to late summer of this year. Once we have that, we'll then go to 100% design. And when we get to 100% design, we're expecting that to be mid to late fall of this year, with then construction starting right thereafter. So construction could start as early as January of 2027, with about an 18-month window for construction. So that's where we're at now. We have the money. We also get a question about this quite often. The money was a direct appropriation from the general fund of the state of Arizona. The efforts of Representative Biasucci, Representative Gillette, Representative Cobb was also part of that. And then Supervisor Borelli, who was then Senator Borelli when this happened, were able to get us $35.5 million. The money is already in our bank account. It's earning interest. That interest is going to go to the project as well, that we'll be doing. Not only will we be putting up a bridge, but there's infrastructure that will go along the bridge, as far as water, wastewater, those types of things. And then also the road network on either side of the bridge. So it's working, very, very rapidly. It's going very quickly. We have to work with, we don't own the right of ways on either side, but we do have agreements on the right of ways on either side, but we have to work with Arizona State Parks, who their land is on what was BLM land. So it's State Parks and BLM on the mainland side. And then on the island side, it's Arizona State Trust land, which again, we have agreements with them. But I believe at a coffee several months ago, we talked about, we realigned the bridge. And by doing that, we were able to save money from the span that we needed. So, but by realigning it, we then had to realign the right-of-way agreement with state trust land. So lots of things have been working, and the city team has been doing a fantastic job. The contractor's already been hired. The designers are already hired. They're all working in tandem. So when we're at 100% design, it's ready to go because they've all been part of the team this entire time. So the second bridge is moving rapidly. When it comes to transients throughout our community, we're a beautiful place, and that's what brought us all here. And it brings people that don't have homes here too. And so during this time, when the weather is beautiful, we do see an increase in the population of transient populations. But the city police department does a really great job of educating and getting resources to these folks so that they can continue to move on their way to wherever it is they are going. We don't generally see too much of that in the summertime because of obviously our extreme temperatures. But just at our last council meeting, we did a fee for or a contract for services with the Clothes Closet, and the Clothes Closet is a social service agency here in our community that is going to bring resources to people that need resources. So different agencies and resource groups that come or are available to service people in our community will have dedicated office hours at that location where they can come get citizens or residents access to those resources that they need and hopefully get them housed or get them in a permanent living situation that would prevent them from living a transient lifestyle. I don't know, Chief, if you have anything to add to our efforts.
Yeah, is that kind of where you were? No, you're talking about like in homes?
Yeah, squatters, the people that are trying to move into your.
Yeah, we don't.
People that are trying to move into a home.
Yeah, so we don't have that issue here, and traditionally in Arizona we don't so much because we have trespassing laws. You hear about the squatter term a lot in like California, but not out here so much. We already have laws in place. I know there's been legislation trying to pass on the squatters bill, they're calling it, but we don't have that issue here. If somebody's trespassing somebody's home and we're notified of that and the facts line up appropriately, they can be removed or arrested in that case. So yeah, we don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, thank you.
Mayor, can you clarify the contract to some people with the Clothes Closet that or services that were being done by the court is asking them to go?
Yeah, so the contract for services that we have with the Clothes Closet that was just approved at our last council meeting came forward by the municipal court. So the municipal court has specialty courts that are really amazing and they do great work. The most notable one is the Veterans Treatment Court. That's the one that gets the most notoriety. It's an award-winning court, and it takes people through that come into the court system. And if they're a veteran and want to go through this program, it's a very intensive program that works on rehabilitation to ensure that they don't reoffend. And so the general population of people that we see, they start with Chief Sterling's officer, they're arrested, they go into to the jail, they're arraigned, they come to the court system. And from there, though, the general population, about 85% have a recidivism rate. So it's 85% will reoffend. And the Veterans Treatment Court, that rate is less than 10%. And so you can see where an investment up front to rehabilitate folks that find themselves in trouble, it would save the taxpayers. It's going to save the chief from having to arrest people and to have police officer resources. It'll save jail resources. It'll save court resources. And so we also have a youth court. We've had a youth court for many years, very, very successful. It takes care of any of our youth issues to rehabilitate them as well. And that's a very popular court as well. And then we just did the Building Bridges Court, which is for co-occurring instances with behavioral health and substance abuse. And so that's where this contract for services with the Clothes Closet is that generally that population is more vulnerable for having housing issues because of the lifestyle in which they live. And so with this contract for service, the Clothes Closet will bring resources to those court clients to get them the resources that they need to get themselves out of the situation they're in. And so it's a contract for services that we need those services to be able to ensure that those folks that are in that program can get out of the program, graduate from the program, and become tax-paying citizens of our community.
Any other questions? Anyone want a question?
B. Evans over there. Oh, yes. Hold on.
I have two questions. One is for the fire chief, because I want to know why they cleared the land next to the fire station right around the corner and what they're going to do there. And the other is about who gives the final okay to the design of the bridge, the new bridge.
You want to take...
Now, ma'am, are you talking about the one over here at Station 1?
Yes.
Where the fuel facility is? So that's the land that was, it's city land. That is going to be home to our city fuel station. And that's going to be able to fuel all of our vehicles, public works and police and fire, because we never had our own facility. So we always used local gas stations, and back then it was, appropriate. But now, just for emergency purposes, say if something they lost power or we couldn't get fuel, we have our own supply of fuel to fuel our vehicles and operate. So.
And then the second question was,
Who's designing the?
the design of the bridge. Yeah, so at our planning session, we actually had a very cool process that the council went through. So it'll be ultimately approved by the council with citizen input for it. But we took a look at different textures, different colors. And one of the goals is we don't want to take away from the glory of the London Bridge. So we don't want to have a competing bridge that may outshine or compete with what we have at the London Bridge. So this bridge will be, it looks very good, what we've seen so far, but it's more of a basic bridge design with some nice additions or pieces that enhance it a little bit. The bridge that is now in London over the River Thames that replaced our bridge is a very basic bridge. And so it actually has kind of a feel that looks similar to the replacement of our London Bridge in London, but it's still in the design phase, but it'll be ultimately approved by the City Council with citizen input.
One other quick one for the mayor. It seems there's a strategy with the buildings over here that ASU had and the thing that were the dormitories before. Is there a strategy to try to get something going with GSU a little better? Because the paper really didn't say or acted like they didn't know.
Sure. Yes. So there's what you saw in the paper today, and I think there's been a few stories this week about that, is the school district owns the ASU property. So they've always owned it. They've had a lease agreement with ASU to use that facility. And then the Board of Regents, through ASU, own what used to be a hotel site, which they use for dormitories. Now it kind of has a same look and feel in the whole area. The Board of Regents still owns that. And so there's discussions right now that are ongoing about is there a way that we could package all of that land together so that a future educational partner can have access to everything. And that's what the discussion is right now. As far as that future partner, we have two willing partners. So the city is very, very interested in having higher education opportunities for our citizens. The school district is very, very interested in having higher education opportunities for their students as they graduate. And then we have an educational partner that is also very, very interested. So more to come on that, but we are working to be able to bring that forward so that we have those opportunities. And I also would be remiss if I didn't mention Mojave College, which was formerly Mojave Community College, is now offering bachelor programs. So our students and our residents in Lake Havasu City have a lot of educational opportunities. When both chiefs talked about the CTE, or the career and technical education, a lot of us in this room might remember that as shop class or home ec or woodworking. Our CTE programs are more than 20, and they are career fields where our high school students come out with actually industry certified certifications where they can go to work with those certifications and start making money as a career. Then we have our partnership with Mojave College, which now has bachelor programs as well as their training and education programs, and then potentially an additional higher education opportunity that we're working on as well. So thank you.
Mayor, I know it's my third one. Okay. Yeah. Mayor, one thing about the bridge that I meant to ask you several is that the weight limitation on the London Bridge. Are you going to change that ruling and put the weight of trucks going on the new bridge and eliminate the one going over our current bridge?
Yeah, good question. I don't have an answer for that, but those will be discussions that we will have. The London Bridge is a modern bridge. So it's a modern infrastructure with the bridge facade put onto it. So it's a modern bridge that we have today. The need for the second bridge is about volume and traffic and safety. Those are kind of the components of the second bridge. So in a perfect world, and this hasn't been decided, but if I got to make the decision solely, which I don't, I have my colleagues on council and I have citizens that have input, and so we all have to work together, as I would like to see the London Bridge go to just 2 lanes, have the sidewalks for pedestrians, and then have a bike lane for bikes. When you're on the London Bridge now as a pedestrian, whether you're a bicyclist or walking or jogging, one of those big boats comes by, or one of those big rigs comes by, and it blows you away. And so I would like to be able to give some distance between the pedestrians and the motorist uses for that, and then drive that other traffic to the new bridge. But, that's just if I had my way. But we'll have conversations as the circulation comes into it. And if weight limits are important, there are people that are much smarter than I on that, and we'll take the recommendations from the engineers on how they recommend, from not only the traffic engineers on the best flow, but then also from the engineering on the weights and those types of things. But we'll have more to come on that.
Mayor, what type of housing is being built by the Views and the former Arizona University that's going up fairly fast?
Yeah, great question. So those are apartment homes that are on Swanson. They're located just down from Swanson and Acoma, right next to the Views, and it's going to be apartment homes. So you see the ones that are right parallel to Swanson, those are nearing completion, and then the construction in the back is moving, as you indicated, very quickly. But those will be apartment homes. We also have additional apartment homes that are going to be built at the mall. It recently was approved by the city council, and they will be behind the movie theater in that parking lot area. There'll be 102 more units there as well. And that model is going to be an all-inclusive pricing. So they want to include all the utility costs, all of the appliances, and the rent all in one fee. So you just have to write one check. And the idea for that would be workforce housing. That project has been referred to as Come Together. And they have it named Come Together because lots of local people came together to put together some solution for workforce housing. And this is what that solution is.
But it's going to be rentals only.
It'll be rentals only, yes. Any other questions? All right, so we'll finish our morning with fun facts. That's what we always like to do. So we'll give you a couple of fun facts. The very first police station, where was it located, Chief?
London Bridge, no, it was Acoma.
Acoma?
Yeah, I forget the address, but Acoma, the 2nd-story building there, 2-story building.
Right over at LaPierre, Acoma and Swanson?
Yeah.
And then move to
London Bridge Road, yep.
And then move to where we're at today?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, first fire station.
Is station number 5. It used to be formerly station 1 on Lake Havasu Avenue.
Yeah, perfect. We have our first fire chief. Well, we had a volunteer fire department. It was the first department we had, and that was Chief Baxter Harris, and that was from 1966 to 1967, even before incorporation here in Lake Havasu City. We then had Chief Arden Johnson, 1968, served for 1 year. Again, this is a volunteer position, so they're not as long as some of the paid staff. And then Chief Ernie Cherry was 1969. And then our first full-time chief, so this is the chief that saw us through incorporation and then was paid, was Chief Ernie Smith from 1970 to 1981. And Chief Smith is still, I still see him at events. Yeah, so yeah, he's still around. And Chief Weber is the one I see at the events, yeah, which is next from 1981 to 1990. So, and then first police chief was Shirley Basford, was our first police chief after incorporation. So lots of history here in Lake Havasu City with residents that gave so much to make it set the foundation for what we all get to enjoy every single day. As always, thank you so much for joining us. Our next coffee is going to be on a different date. So we'll send out a press release, but it's going to be a week earlier. It's going to be on February 27th, 2026. So it's just going to be 3 weeks from now. So February 27th, 2026, 8:30 in the morning. It'll be back to our regular edition, Coffee with the Mayor and City Manager. So if you mark your calendars for that, we'll see you then and give you more updates. A big thank you to Allie for coordinating this morning. We appreciate it. And Steve in the control room. Have a great day and we'll see you soon.